Okay, what we have here, we have a spectrum view antenna with a smart meter, gas meter here, and we have turned off, this is the mechanical meter here, so there's no RF coming from the smart meter because no longer a smart meter, it's a mechanical and non-RF meter, how it used to be. And we're going to walk around to our complete setup, which is around the corner here, because be better view because of the sunlight. So that's the setup. We'll move this over here, and there we go, and come back around the corner. So here's Bill Bathgate, leading building biologist in the country, and he's got a little spectrum view here. So Bill, tell me a little bit what's going on here.
All right, so we're using a Siglent spectrum analyzer, not a spectrum scope, or I mean, not a oscilloscope. This is a radio frequency spectrum analyzer, and this way you can tell what frequencies you're seeing. And so it'll start with the peak frequency, will be number 1. And so the peak frequency here I'm measuring is 646.26 megahertz. And its amplitude is minus 60 dBm. And we're measuring in, let me see if I can get this corrected. Yeah, we're measuring dBm. And so this is all of the radio frequencies that were present in front of that gas meter. And you'll see there's also a 737, which is, I think, a reflection from the cell tower, which is not far away from the backyard. And another one from the cell tower, 720. Okay.
So with those 720, are they more of a carrier wave, or what type of?
That's a pulse. That's a pulse.
Pulse modulated.
From the cell tower.
Okay.
And then 553, I think, is another pulse from the gas meter. Okay. Because it does change frequencies.
And that's because of interference.
No, it's just the way they design it. It's what they call a broad spectrum transmission. So it bounces between one frequency and the next frequency and the next frequency, and it doesn't stay on one frequency.
So we have a 650 area, then also a 646, and then a 553.
So we have 550, 542 right now.
542.
Okay, so
Okay,
that's all part of the gas meter.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's a gas meter across the way which could bounce against this. So, but basically in front of that gas meter, this is the one most worrisome. Number 1, okay, is 646 megahertz, and it's at minus 60 dBm. And so, generally speaking, anything that's greater than minus 70, in other words, the lower the number, the higher the strength. So if it was 0 dBm, it'd be the highest possible strength. If it was 100 dBm, it'd be the lowest. So you can see the scale. This is high, this is low, and you can see the marker is number 1, and so you can see the dBm changes a little bit. Don't know why, but it does. Because I'd have to rip the meter apart to see what the X circuitry they got in there. But there's no battery, there's no electrical signal connected up to the gas meter. It runs off of a battery, which is charged by an impeller, a gear that looks like a pump gear, and it basically rotates and it charges up a battery inside the gas meter, and the gas meter uses that battery to transmit an RF. So that's how it's doing the transmission. But
so I guess you see this quite often with homes now with the smart meter, gas meters. So between smart meter, gas meters, or smart meter for the house for electricity, then you have your water smart meter. What do you think is from 1, 2, 3? They're all about the same, or do they vary a little bit further? You think
they're about the same. They're pretty close. So there's one at 630 megahertz, which is coming from the gas meters, minus 57 dBm. Okay, minus 57.92 dBm. Okay, that's the first peak, number 1 up here. Okay, so that's the strongest signal across the spectrum, and then it will tell you the other signals which are lower. So we got some 737 and 720, which I believe is a cell tower.
Yeah.
Okay, 893 is also a cell tower. That's the upload frequency. And then we have 555, which is the gas meter again. Okay. And then we have 766, which is the cell tower. So it's hard with all these radiating devices in the environment to isolate this, but you can isolate it based on the frequency. And since I know a little bit of the gas meters, I know they generally transmit between 500 megahertz and 690 megahertz.
Because that's really good to know, because we have the smart meters around 900 area, then we have also 2500 because they have a Zigbee in there.
Yep.
So 2 different frequencies there, and they fluctuate from 911 to 915. They fluctuate from 900. They move around. I guess, is that because the smart meter does that? Because
some of this over here is from the cell tower.
Yeah,
Okay.
but if you compare, I know we're not picking up a smart meter here because we don't have one.
We have a 904.
Oh, okay, that's smart meter.
0.8, the smart meter across the yard to the house next door, and that's minus 70.05 dBm.
Yeah, and that's got a cover on it too, on top of it, so it's still going through the cover.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's also
the cover is helpful, but not that effective.
Yeah, it wasn't really that powerful, but it's further away.
You can put an Iron Maiden on there, you'll get nothing. So,
well, this is great, folks. So we're going to do this is a great setup. We're going to do another setup here in just a couple minutes here on the water smart meter. So another great day here.
I'm going to capture this with my chip, and then I can display it later on a report or whatever. So let me do that while he's changing. But